welcome back to hell. And as per usual, before we launch in, today's video is sponsored by Fume. And of course by my company, Lions Tea Exchange. I am currently running a celebratory 1,000,000 subscriber sale of up to 40% off all of the flavors on the site. While I'm working on my spring blends, grab a box or several of my signature line. You won't regret it, they are very delicious, and it obviously helps the channel out a lot. So links in the description. Okay, back to the video. Now, things have really been moving and shaking in the entertainment space over the last couple of weeks.
Let's get into it. Lately, the pop culture space has been absolutely exploding with developments. For starters, HBO has teased a new casting choice for the role of Snape in their upcoming Harry Potter series, and honestly, the resemblance is eerily perfect. Over on Disney's front, there might actually be a remake that doesn't make fans want to set fire to their childhood memories. Yep, the Lilo and Stitch live-action trailer dropped, and shockingly, it doesn't look awful. I'm genuinely caught off guard. But of course, nothing can ever go smoothly. Some online activists are now outraged because the alien character, Pleakley, doesn't appear transcoded enough for their liking. Yes, that is an actual complaint. I truly don't know how to respond anymore. But let's get to the real spectacle. The long-awaited and highly controversial live-action, Snow White is slated to hit theaters on March 21st, and friends, it's already looking like a beautiful disaster. It's equal parts tragic, chaotic, and if I'm being honest,
there's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. Please shut up!
Kind of hilarious. What's especially amusing is Disney's PR strategy this time around. It seems like they're going above and beyond to make sure their lead actress, Rachel Zegler, avoids the press entirely. I know that sounds bizarre. Normally, before a big movie release, studios push the cast hard into media rounds, interviews, TV spots, red carpets, anything to build hype. But in this case, crickets. And the reason is probably obvious to anyone who's followed Rachel Zegler for more than 5 minutes. Let's not forget her now infamous line describing the prince in Snow White as a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah, that's what she said. Awkward much. Outside of a few carefully scripted appearances from co-star Gal Gadot, and yes, I'm pronouncing it right this time because you guys flamed me last time.
I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man. I claim my Fourth Amendment rights.
Been virtually no promotion from Zegler herself. And when I say carefully scripted, I mean she only spoke to ultra-safe platforms like Good Morning America. Zegler, on the other hand, has basically vanished. I did some digging because, I did, and the only footage of her promoting the film is from a couple of dry, forgettable interviews no one watched. For someone who usually can't stop talking, her silence speaks volumes. It's almost as if Disney finally realized that every time Rachel opens her mouth, they lose more viewers. So, what do? They pull back the promotional machine entirely. Suddenly, press junkets are canceled. Premieres are scaled down or outright scrapped. Marketing is delayed. Events are closed off too.
It's like when the mafia send each other fish through the post.
The public, there's even visible tension between the cast, awkward body language, stiff smiles, and what looks like rehearsed enthusiasm. And I know this makes me sound like a bad person. I find the whole thing hilarious. Look, I get it. A lot of people worked hard on this movie. Set designers, costume artists, camera crews, they all deserve better. But watching Disney, the once untouchable entertainment empire, slowly implode under the weight of its own bad decisions, I can't look away. They tried to surf the cultural pendulum, and now that it's swung the other way, it smacked them in the face. Karma has entered the group chat. Want proof? On March 5th, 2025, multiple outlets reported that Disney was canceling the UK premiere.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations.
Of Snow White altogether. The official reason? To avoid protesters from the growing anti-woke backlash. Makes sense? Normally, they'd roll out the red carpet in London, but this time? A hush-hush event in Spain. Limited press. No unscripted. Interviews, no open questions for Rachel. Just a tightly controlled echo chamber of fluff. And, strangely enough, it worked. The Spain premiere happened without a hitch. No drama, no headlines, no viral gaffes, but also no buzz. Rachel Zegler eventually performed one of her songs from the film, which under normal circumstances would have just been a pleasant moment and quickly forgotten. But the thing is, this wasn't a one-time situation, 'cause just a few. Days after her performance, new reports emerged confirming that Disney would be handling its Los Angeles premiere with the same bizarre level of secrecy and control. That premiere, which took place on March 15th, was
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut, who knows?
strange departure from Disney's usual glitz and glamour. Instead of a traditional red carpet extravaganza packed with fans, paparazzi, and loud interviews, the entire event was toned down to what felt like a corporate press screening. Only a select group of photographers and an in-house film crew were allowed in. There were no spontaneous interviews or surprise cast appearances. Everything was prearranged, tightly choreographed, and, honestly, kind of eerie. Even the interviews that did take place felt like something out of a Disney Plus behind-the-scenes special. For instance, Jodie Benson, yes, the original voice of Ariel from The Little Mermaid, was tasked with interviewing Zegler. Which, don't get me wrong, is cool from a legacy standpoint, but let's be honest, that's not a real press event. That's a brand-to-brand handshake. And it was very obvious that every word, every moment, every smile was rehearsed to perfection, sanitized, scripted, safe. Now, I wish I could stand here and tell you that Disney is doing all this because Rachel Zegler is just too chaotic to handle, but that's only part of the story. The reality is, this isn't the first time a major studio has muzzled its own lead actor to control a controversy. Warner Brothers did something eerily similar not long ago with The Flash, when its star, Ezra Miller, found themselves in the middle of one of the most bizarre celebrity scandals in recent memory. And let me tell you, that wasn't just a PR nightmare. It was full-blown damage control. Ezra Miller's laundry list of offenses included everything from felony burglary and bizarre public meltdowns to literally fleeing law enforcement with a minor. At one point, footage surfaced of them being arrested and yelling, "I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man. I claim my Fourth Amendment rights." Okay? But like, what was the plan here? Was a fairy godmother supposed to magically appear and say, "Wait, let me summon a non-binary officer from thin air"? No, that's not how reality works. What these moments show in the most brutally honest way is that nobody outside your hyper-online Reddit safe space cares about your pronouns when you're mid-arrest for something serious. Identity doesn't excuse criminal behavior. It doesn't shield you from consequences. It doesn't magically make the headlines go away. But let's switch gears for a second, 'cause unlike Ezra Miller, I actually care about your well-being. And since this channel is basically a flaming gondola dragging us through internet hell, I want you to at least feel good while we're burning together. Which brings us to today's sponsor, Foom. We all have habits we're trying to quit. Whether it's smoking, vaping, chewing, or just absent-mindedly reaching for something toxic. And yeah, there are a million options out there. Gum, patches, meditation, bargaining with your houseplants. Let's be real, most of it sucks. That's where Fume comes in. Unlike a vape, it doesn't rely on heat, smoke, or chemicals. Instead, it uses an air-powered design to help break hand-to-mouth habits in a clean, natural way. You just pop in a flavored core and breathe. No nicotine, no weird vapor. It's just crisp, delicious air. They've got a ton of flavor options from crisp mint to white cranberry, but I've been obsessed with orange vanilla lately. It smells incredible. Don't even get me started on sparkling grapefruit. It's pink, it's pretty. And yes, it makes me feel like a girly queen every time I use it. No shame. And the best part? Fume is serious about quality. They're expanding fast and recently unveiled the Solano, an absolutely stunning new product that's sleek, minimal, and designed with intention. It's not just a habit breaker. It's a lifestyle upgrade. Fume didn't just stop at flavored air cores, they've really taken their product design to the next level. Now, they've introduced a sleek magnetic base to keep your device secure and stylish when it's not in use. Plus these adorable new toppers that sit snugly over the mouthpiece. It adds a fresh, elevated feel to the whole experience. If you're someone trying to break free from a bad habit but wants something that doesn't feel clinical or boring, then Fume is a fantastic place to start. So if you're ready to quit your hand-to-mouth habit in a way that's both effective and kind of fun, click the link in the description, scan the QR code on your screen, or visit tryfume.com/Sydney. And when you order your journey pack, make sure to use code Sydney to receive a free Fume topper. It's a small but cool accessory that makes the whole experience feel even more personalized. Now, let's address what some of you might be thinking, Sydney. Aren't you just speculating here? Maybe Disney's media strategy has nothing to do with Rachel Zegler. Well, no. Let me stop you right there. Yes, they are. It's not just guesswork. Anyone who has watched the LA premiere interviews could clearly see the difference between how Rachel Zegler behaves when she's been heavily media coached and how she acted in past years when the leash was off. It's night and day. This isn't about her being an uncontrollable wild card in theory. She is one, and Disney knows it. In fact, this was basically confirmed by none other than Martin Kleba, the
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
actor who voices Grumpy in the new Snow White. Kleba openly told reporters that Disney's decision to tone down the LA premiere was a direct result of the controversy surrounding Zegler. He wasn't just frustrated, he was clearly disheartened. According to him, while everyone is entitled to their personal opinions, the divisive political comments made by some cast members ended up hijacking the entire narrative of the film. The media circus surrounding Zegler overshadowed the years of hard work poured in by the rest of the team. He even said, and I quote, "It's not even going to be a red carpet. It's just a pre-party. Watch the movie and go home." Why? Because, as Kleba plainly stated, Disney is afraid. They're scared of the backlash from both sides of the culture war. And you know what? He's absolutely right. But wait, there's more. Apparently, the issues didn't stop at media control. There are also whispers of behind-the-scenes tension between Zegler and Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen. And no, this isn't just some minor on-set spat. The alleged rift reportedly stems from deep political differences, particularly over the Israel-Palestine conflict. Gal Gadot, being Israeli and a former IDF soldier, has consistently expressed support for her homeland. Meanwhile, Zegler has made no secret of her support for Palestine, even tweeting "Free Palestine" shortly after posting about Snow White's trailer going viral back in late 2024. That tweet turned heads fast. And no, I'm not going to dive into Middle Eastern geopolitics today unless I randomly decide I'm in the mood, which I'm not. But the optics are unavoidable. Two co-stars promoting a massive international film, standing on opposite sides of one of the most idios. Like for Similoc's sides of one of the most idios. Like, look at this. And we all know I've been exploring that. We all know I've been exploring that. With no mouse, unquote, implods, the co-stars would be safe. Preferreds comforting up, unquote, promote. I do say quote by .com/gubtade. At KDOS, at KODES, Kneswis, too, on explosive global issues, that's not something you can just sweep under the Disney rug. When the two presented at the Oscars together, fans were already speculating about their frosty dynamic. I watched the clip, and while nothing overtly dramatic happened, there was a noticeable lack of chemistry. Maybe they're just professionals, doing their job. Or maybe they're secretly sending each other dead fish in the mail, like mafia members. Who's to say? But here's what's really fascinating. It looks like Disney is finally realizing that having your stars publicly bash the very films they're paid to promote is not good business. I know what a concept. It's almost like moviegoers don't appreciate being insulted or condescended to by millionaire celebrities who then turn around and expect ticket sales. And now Disney's beginning to see what that backlash actually looks like at the box office. Early projections for Snow White suggest an opening weekend haul of just $15 million across the US and Canada. Now, to us regular folks, that probably sounds like a jackpot, but in Disney terms, that's almost a flop. For comparison, The Lion King remake in 2019 opened with a staggering $191 million. And Beauty and the Beast in 2017 brought in $174 million. By contrast, $50 million is sad. Yes, there are always dozens of reasons why a movie might underperform. Maybe Snow White is simply too old-fashioned to resonate with younger generations. Maybe the charm of fairy tales isn't as strong in 2025. But maybe, just maybe, people are finally fed up with Hollywood turning classics into lectures. And that brings us back to Kleba's point. People are pushing back, and Disney knows it. Back in February 2025, Vulture published a damning article exposing the studio's growing fear of its own fanbase. The piece revealed how repeated flops and cultural backlash had made Disney executives cautious, even paranoid about how they promote new projects. One section highlighted recent comments from Anthony Mackie, star of the upcoming Captain America film, that ignited a social media firestorm. During a press appearance, Mackie stated, quote, "Captain America represents a lot of things, but I don't think America should be one of them." What? As expected, Anthony Mackie's comments did not land well. His statement, essentially stripping America out of Captain America, sparked instant outrage across social media. Critics accused him of disrespecting the character, the country, and the franchise. Within days, the backlash became so overwhelming that Mackie was forced to issue a hasty clarification and a half-hearted apology. The damage, though, had already been done. And even though that Vulture article focused heavily on Disney and Marvel, its message was unmistakably clear. Disney knows it's losing control, and it's terrified of its own audience. The era of unchecked political messaging, wrapped in children's content, is starting to collapse under its own weight. And the studio is scrambling to plug the holes in its sinking ship. So, while they may have given Mackie the chance to walk his comments back, they're not even allowing Rachel Zegler the same opportunity. Why? Because it was her unchecked statements that ignited this entire firestorm in the first place, or at least played a significant role in it. Let's rewind. From the moment Zegler was cast as Snow White, the decision sparked widespread criticism. Disney proudly patted itself on the back for choosing a Latina actress to play a character described in the original 1937 film as having skin as white as snow. Many fans viewed this casting as a mismatch, a clear case of political virtue signaling rather than staying true to source material. Zegler, clearly aware of the growing backlash, responded on social media with a sarcastic tweet. "Yes, I am Snow White. No, I am not bleaching my skin for the role." And honestly, that should have been the end of it. But she didn't stop there. Throughout 2022, Zegler continued making statements that only fueled the controversy. In one viral interview, she explained that her version of Snow White would not be rescued by a prince, but would instead save herself. She casually dismissed the classic love story, calling the prince a stalker, and joked that his scenes might be cut from the film entirely. Her exact words. There is a big focus on her love story. The guy who literally stalks her. Yeah, weird, weird, weird. So we didn't do that this time. All of Andrew's scenes might get cut. Who knows? Unsurprisingly, fans were not amused. While Zegler's comments were rooted in modern feminist rhetoric, they came off as mocking and disrespectful not just to the film but to the legacy of the characters she was portraying. And as it turns out, Disney was listening. Reports later confirmed that the original song "Someday My Prince Will Come" was cut from the new movie, replaced by a new number called "Waiting on a Wish." I've heard it approximately 1,000 times now, and I can assure you it's no improvement. But her media missteps didn't stop there. In another interview, Zegler stated bluntly that she was scared of the original Snow White cartoon. "I think I watched it once, then I never picked it up again. It freaked me out." Great. The star of the remake hates the original. That's always a good sign. For a while, things quieted down, but then in the aftermath of Donald Trump's election, Zegler resurfaced with another tone-deaf post. She tweeted, "I hope Trump supporters never know peace." The backlash was immediate. Once again, Zegler issued a lukewarm apology, probably after a panicked call from a Disney executive. But by that point, the damage was piling up. Internally, it seems Disney finally realized they had a problem on their hands. Their lead actress was wildly unfiltered, politically aggressive, and alienating the exact audience the film was supposed to attract. Now, I personally believe her initial 2022 statements were greenlit by Disney. They probably thought it would signal progressive values and modern thinking. What they didn't expect, hilariously, was how unlikable she would become to the general public. The plan.
So that's kind of where we're at right now, with a film that is on the cusp of being released, that is currently being given a bunch of positive but likely astroturfed reviews, where the actors and actresses are very frustrated and mad at the way that things are going down, with a lead actress who is barred from talking to anybody, and really a situation with a film that might really need to be taken out back and shot. So just business as usual, I guess. With all of this being said, it's absolutely no surprise that Disney is apparently just going through the motions and waiting for this situation to be over. A situation which, just by the way, they created for themselves. Ultimately, I am personally so interested to see how this film actually does at the box office, and maybe for the first time in a very long time, I might actually go and see a movie in the cinema, which I don't really want to do, but maybe I will. But I think it's fair to say that this film has been a mess from start to finish for a multitude of reasons. And again, to be completely fair, not all of them revolve around Zegler. And while the original 1937 Snow White and the Seven Dwarves was supposed to be Disney's folly, it was supposed to be this film that was going to be a money pit and perform terribly at the box office, but ultimately became a major success. Well, maybe that's what the 2025 version is meant to be. Maybe we're coming full circle and we're finally going to see Disney's folly, but it's going to play out in modernity, which is just hilarious. I'm sorry. I guess we will just have to wait and see. And in the end, only time will really tell how much worse or better this situation is going to get. Now, on that note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out Fume using the link in the description. They have been a massive supporter of this channel, and I really like them as a brand. So if this is something that is of interest to you, absolutely go and check them out and see if maybe this is the right fit. Now, I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Are you kind of like me on this issue, where you're just kind of hanging back and waiting to see what happens? Are you happy and excited about the fact that this film is coming out? Are you disappointed because you think that it's going to be terrible and nowhere near as good as the original? Are you happy about the fact that Disney is kind of getting kicked in the face and is having to take all of these precautions to keep Rachel Zegler away from everybody? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing?
Backfired spectacularly, and now the studio is in full crisis mode. In fact, according to a recent leak from someone close to the production, Disney executives have been in direct contact with Zegler and her management, begging her to tone it. down to no avail. One insider bluntly stated, "Disney's lead actress is out of control. She won't stop." They've asked her directly to pull back her political posts and even contacted her reps, but she won't listen. She's been like this since the start of filming. Even worse, it's not just her personality that's causing problems. It's the fact that her politics have become inseparable from the film itself. And Disney, they've realized too late that once you politicize a fairy tale, you alienate a huge chunk of your audience. Ironically, the same company that injected politics into its films for years is now panicking when one of its own stars takes it too far. The self-awareness is still missing. But let's be clear, Rachel Zegler might be a liability, but Disney didn't need her help to blow up this project. They did that all by themselves. Let's talk about the 7 dwarfs, or should I say the 7 magical forest people. In a bizarre attempt at being politically correct, Disney originally scrapped the idea of dwarf characters altogether. Instead, they replaced them with an odd-looking ensemble of mismatched magical creatures as seen in leaked set photos. Fans were not pleased, and neither were actors within the dwarf community. Jason Acuna, better known as Wee Man, from Jackass, was particularly outspoken. He blasted Disney for taking away roles traditionally played by little people and replacing them with average-sized actors in bizarre costumes. You're replacing jobs that people like us could have had. It's Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, not Snow White and the 7 Average People. The backlash was swift and loud. Disney realized they had gone too far in trying to appease everyone and ended up pleasing no one. First, audiences weren't happy with Zegler. Then, they weren't happy with the erasure of the dwarves. And finally, they weren't happy with the entire tone of the project. And so, with nowhere to turn, Disney quietly delayed the film, pushing the release back by a full year. Not only that, but according to insiders, entire parts of the movie were reshot to try and salvage the wreckage. It wasn't long before the internet got a glimpse of what the so-called magical characters would now look like, and the reaction: absolute horror. Audiences were met not with charming, whimsical beings, but with unsettling CGI monstrosities that seemed ripped from a fever dream. And this brings us to the bizarre and chaotic moment we currently find ourselves in. A film teetering on the edge of release, surrounded by artificially inflated praise that reeks of astroturfing, and a cast so disillusioned they've either gone silent or visibly checked out. The lead actress, effectively muzzled. She's reportedly forbidden from giving interviews, from interacting with press, even from making casual appearances. It paints the picture of a project so cursed, it might be kinder to quietly bury it than continue this painful promotional charade. But alas, it's Disney. And chaos is par for the course now. What's perhaps most astonishing, or maybe not, depending on how cynical you are, is how Disney appears to be simply going through the motions. There's no fire, no passion, no meaningful strategy to salvage the mess. Just a corporate machine gritting its teeth and waiting for the storm to pass. A storm, mind you, of their own making. They constructed this disaster brick by brick. The casting, the messaging, the alienation of the core audience, the visual effects, the PR blunders. It's all part of a spiraling equation that somehow still leads to a theatrical release. Despite all this, I find myself strangely curious. Curious enough that, for the first time in ages, I might actually drag myself to a cinema seat just to witness the disaster unfold in real time. Not because I expect quality, but because the spectacle of failure on this scale is hard to look away from. Make no mistake, this film has been a train wreck from day one, plagued by controversy, mismanagement, and an overwhelming sense that no one steering the ship actually knew where it was supposed to go. And while yes, much of the backlash has been aimed at Rachel Zegler, let's be fair, not everything wrong with this movie can be blamed on her. Let's not forget the irony of it all. The 1937 Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs was once derided as Disney's folly, a film expected to fail, to bleed the studio dry, to collapse under its own ambition. Instead, it became a legendary success, the cornerstone of an empire. But here we are in 2025, and it feels like we're watching the exact opposite. The prophecy finally fulfilling itself, but nearly a century too late. What was once a whimsical risk is now a cynical flop in tow-making. It's poetic in the darkest, most unintentional way. The circle is complete. So where does that leave us? Nowhere conclusive. Not yet. All we can do is wait, watch, see whether this is truly the final chapter in Disney's creative implosion, or just another embarrassing footnote in a growing book of corporate missteps. Time will tell if this becomes the box office faceplant many expect, or if by some miracle it manages to crawl out of the pit it dug for itself. Before I wrap up, a quick shout out to Fume, a longtime supporter of this channel. If you're looking for a cleaner alternative and something that aligns with your wellness goals, definitely check them out via the link in the description. They've been awesome to work with, and their product might just be what you're looking for. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you make of all this? Are you like me, simply watching from a distance, half curious, half disbelieving at how far this has fallen? Or are you genuinely excited for this film? Maybe you're disappointed, heartbroken even, that something so iconic could be reimagined into something so divisive. Are you rooting for Disney to fail here? Or are you hoping for some kind of redemption arc for the cast, the creators, the legacy? Let me know in the comments below. I genuinely love hearing your perspectives, especially from those of you who stick with me until the end. If you're new and enjoying the ride, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and drop a comment. I read almost all of them, and your feedback helps shape what I cover next. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and until next time, take care of yourselves, my wonderfully opinionated people. I'll catch you in the next one.